We are sponsored by a Korean Tottenham Hotspur fan who wishes for all Koreans and the rest of the world to visit and discover Singapore.
Email Kelly for an introduction to Singapore at jrjinsingapore@gmail.com. That's jrjinsingapore@gmail.com.
What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here live from Seoul, Korea, outside the JW Marriott Hotel. An absolutely sweltering day, absolute scorcher today. And yesterday I made the joke on the live stream saying if you crack an egg open on my head, you could probably fry it. And everyone in the comments saying we're going to call it Sunny Side Up.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see these little lakes here. You think it's the lakes, but it's just our sweat just dripping into these onto the floor. So that's
it's
what it is.
Absolutely mad. So forgive me if we have to wipe our foreheads a few times during this video. But we're here to talk about this Sonny interview. I think it was it EA Sports?
EA Sports, yeah.
Some really interesting stuff. So we thought we would get into it. Starting off, he was talking about Archie Gray and Lucas Bergvall, and he said that they're working really hard every day, every single day. They want to show who they are. I think it's just joy to watch them both, and they are working really hard. They just want to listen and just want to learn. I think that's very important at this age because you hope that these guys both have an amazing, bright future. So I'm always trying to help the two of them because they just came here to a new club. They probably need a little bit of help from me, and yeah, I just want to enjoy and watch them every single day. They impress me with their attitude. They are young, they can make a huge impact to this team, and I think it's very important now. These days, I think with this generation, I think age is not important. I think they should take big responsibility, and that is what they do every single day. So if they do that in the game, I think that I have no doubt that they'll be very, very good. So let's see what happens this season. I hope they'll be both amazing players. And you know what? It's actually something I've noticed, like whenever they've been on the pitch, they are players that want to take responsibility. And at the age of 18, they already, even though they've only been at the club for such a short amount of time, they seem so central to everything.
Well, that's exactly what they've been doing at their former clubs. You know, yeah. Archie Gray broke into the team at 17. There's a reason why I think he was their most used player last season, because he's not one to just think of himself as a youth player who's going to, get some minutes in there. He wants to play. He wants to have that responsibility of being one of the main players. Same as Bergvall when he was at Djurgården. He wasn't just a youth player there. He was one of their main players, and he took responsibility as being one of their main attacking forces. And it's one of the reasons I think Tottenham really took a look at them, because Ange Postecoglou made a big deal about the personality and the character of the individuals that they'll bring to the club. He even said, sometimes if the character and the quality are close, you should always go with the player with the better character that you're looking for, because in this day and age, at this level of football, the quality is so similar, but the character, you can't replace that. And so I think there's no better person for them to learn off as well as Sonny, who's 32, still at the top of his game, still keeps himself in the best kind of physically in the best kind of form. And I think Bergvall and Gray had the best mentor possible for that.
Yeah, and there was a lot of question marks, wasn't there, about Bergvall and Gray? And maybe there is still slightly, but I think a lot less now than it was when we first signed them, especially Lucas Bergvall saying, are they going to come straight into the first team? What's going to happen with them? Are they going to go back on loan to get more minutes and everything like that? But I think it's clear for everyone to see now they are going to be part of the first team, and they're going to be quite central to the first team. And I kind of expect Lucas Bergvall to have that kind of Dele Alli pre-season. I think he's probably taking it up to another level than the Dele Alli pre-season.
I'm not saying he's going to hit the ground like Dele Alli, very few players do, but he's been very impressive, as he definitely can say that, and same with Archie Gray. Very impressive.
Next up, Son is talking about setting the standards for younger players as the captain at this football club, and he says, some players are far younger than me. If their captain is lazy and complacent, then they would think it's allowed that way too. So I never let myself loosen up. I try to arrive on time every meeting and try to be the first one to step outside onto the training ground every time. I don't know how much longer I'll play football, but I believe that I can continue to show my best only if I keep in this way. For this reason, I am fighting myself hard to this day and in this world of competition. And look, we don't expect anything less than from Son Heung-min. Unbelievable mentality from him, and it shouldn't be taken for granted as well.
100%. I think people see him having a laughing and joke and being smiling all the time, and some people mistake that for a kind of laissez-faire attitude. But I think definitely when you see him in open training and you see more of the behind-the-scenes stuff rather than just what's shared on social media, you can see what a leader he is and how much he sets the standards, how much he leads by example. And he's not there, even at training, just to have a laugh and a joke. He does take everything very seriously, and you don't get to where he is in his career by just being a guy who jokes all the time. This guy is a very serious athlete who's always looking to, a very competitive guy who's always looking to better himself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the leadership qualities were shown when Yang Min-hyuk was signed. He goes, "Yep, you've been very good now, but he's basically saying the hard work starts here. Get learning your English already."
Exactly, and that's Sonny all over.
He's talking about his best position on the pitch, and I feel like he might be talking directly to you on this one.
Potentially.
He says, "If I were tasked with creating something decisive with one moment during the game, I would say that was playing as a winger. It suits me more. Some people say I shouldn't play on the wing anymore because I'm too old. They say that I'm not great at beating my man. I understand why those talks exist, but doing those things as a winger, I still what I am most confident at. It is also still one of the things I believe I'm best at. When the opposition defence forms a low block and I have to create one decisive moment, it fits me to save my energy and deliver one lethal burst. But I understand fans can have different opinions on my position." And I mean, my position on where Heung-min Son is best at, I feel like it depends what kind of opposition you are playing, whether it be a low block, a high pressing team. I feel like you should tailor Son's position to who we're playing against and maybe who he's going to be best to fit and best equipped to play against.
Yeah, I think he is right when he says against a low block his best position probably is better on the left, because he gets a bit more space there. He's got a little more ability to get on the ball and be a bit more creative, whereas when he's up front against a team who's sitting in a low block, it's hard for him to get involved in the game, dropping deep in the central areas. When he's too close to defenders who are stronger than him, he gets muscled off the ball a lot more, he gives the ball away a lot more. So I think he is right on that, but what I would say is when I'm watching him play on the left, and I think he alluded to it there, when he's playing on the left, he definitely has that, he likes to conserve his energy and have that one burst and one moment where he can show the difference. Son is such a quality player that all he needs is one moment and he can make all the difference. So the problem for me is, at 32, as he alludes to there, I do believe he's not that good at being his man anymore. I do believe that he's not the Son of 5 years ago, where he can be a bit relentless, continuously take on his man. Like when I watched Pedro Neto right on the left, and he was obviously like 10 years younger than Son, or 8 years younger than Son. And even for a Wolves team who doesn't have that much of the ball and is playing on the counter-attack, I see him absolutely being relentless against his fullback. Every time getting the ball, taking them on and getting joy about 4, 5, 6, 7 times a game. The problem with Son is when he plays on the left, he's probably getting there. And he is taking his man on a lot, but he's probably only getting joy once or twice a game. And the problem with that is if he doesn't make the most of those opportunities, right? He is good enough where he can beat someone once a game and get a goal or an assist because he's that good, and he's shown that. But the problem is if that one moment doesn't result in a goal or an assist, then all of a sudden that goal moment might not come again. Whereas when someone like Neto or another player, he's going to get the beating his man 4, 5, 6 times. So if he beats his man once and doesn't get the goal, he's still got the ability to beat his man again.
I also think it's a circumstance as well of how teams set up against us, how teams set up against Wolves. Pedro Neto is always going to have a lot more space when he's attacking against the teams he's played against, because teams play more expansive against Wolves, because Wolves are a very sit-back team and counter-attack, where teams often, more than not, about probably more than 70% of the time, sit back against us, and there's a lot less space when we're trying to make the attacks.
Yeah, I definitely think that's part of it. I definitely think that's a big part of it, but I still think the way the players are at the current stage of their career, I think as well, Neto just in that stage, not Neto specifically, but players like Neto are just a bit more relentless at the moment. And Sonny used to be like that. Sonny used to be like that.
I agree, but I also think if you put Son in the Wolves team, you would see him beating his man and getting past in those spaces a lot more.
I don't think so. Not as much as Neto.
Oh, not as much as Neto. He's the best in the Premier League.
But that's my point. He's good at it, and maybe you'd see it more, but he wouldn't do it as much as a different kind of player.
So he's good, but he's not as good as the best in the Premier League.
Right, which is the kind of benchmark that someone we're trying to sign, isn't it, Neto? So I'm not. Look, I love that. That's why and that's why the majority of his goals did come up front last season. That's where we saw him being his most effective when he was up front. Now, to be fair to him, what I would say is since like April time, well, I think we have seen a lot better from him on the left, to be honest.
Yeah.
And in pre-season as well, he had a good game off the left against Vissel Kobe. So maybe it's a case of him starting to adapt more to how Ange likes to play his left wingers, and he's starting to do a lot better. I do still think he can do a good job on the left, but it's whether he can be elite anymore in that position, the way Ange plays it. I just don't know. I don't know anymore, to be honest. But I still think he can do a really good job up front and on the left. And I agree with you. It's all about what kind of opposition we face and where he can be most effective in that game.
And the last comment we got is a really interesting one. He's talking about why we're seeing less trademark long-range goals from him in a Spurs shirt at the moment. And he says, I believe it was under Conte where I statistically scored the greatest amounts of long-range goals. That was because we used a 3-4-3 formation, and then the gaffer wanted the wing-back to function as a winger and made Kulusevski play centrally with Kane dropping deep. So naturally, I frequently found myself back then in positions where I could immediately take a turn, cut inside and shoot from my trademark spot. Even today, when the opportunity arises, I try to get myself in that spot and make something happen. When you play football, scoring from distance is something that everyone idolizes, but I think that the most important factor is easily creating those attacking chances in the positioning. I think there are reasons related to tactical positioning in why there are less than more those long-range goals coming from me. But that doesn't mean that I'm not scoring many goals these days. Whether it's pretty goals or not so pretty goals, what matters is most of the ball going in the back of the net. So I always try to get myself in good positions and score many goals. And it's a good point he says, right? Because everyone's saying, oh, where's these Son long-range goals happening? And I think it's clear when you see the way that the two managers differentiate in the way that they want Son to play. Postecoglou wants him to tuck outside, and Conte, obviously, like he alludes to, said he wants to play centrally. But I think the main thing that he is talking about is as long as he's getting the goals, that is the main thing that we all care about, and it shows what an elite player he is, where whatever system you play him in, he can still score a high amount of goals. Yeah, the goals he's scoring for Ange is very different. It's very much exactly what Ange wants from him, either arriving at the back post, being on the left winger, or when he's up front, he's either running in behind or he's waiting for the cutback. Sort of like poacher's efforts. Yeah, he's very seldom in that position, as he says, on the left side of the penalty area where he can shoot from that kind of position, which, look, we all know Son is elite there, and when he gets in, gets the opportunity to shoot, a lot of the time ends in the back of the net. It's a trademark Son position, and I would like to see him in that position more, and it is part of the reason as well, where sometimes I feel like we don't see the best of him when he is hugged down that touchline, because I do think when he's a left winger, and when he's been a left wing in the Spurs shirt, a lot of his best work has come when he has cut inside and been in that kind of position with the ability to shoot in that position, whereas Ange doesn't want his wingers to do that. Ange always wants his wingers to go on the outside and beat their man and get to the byline and cut it back rather than be in that position. But he got 17 goals last season, so he is still scoring, he's still being effective, but it isn't the pretty goals as Sonny is alluding to. So under Conte it was very different, as he said. He was finding that that's where he was in that position, that's where Conte wanted him, so he was always going to be able to score in that position a lot more. But as long as he's scoring goals, that's the main thing. Doesn't really matter how he's scoring, does it? Yeah, exactly. So I think it just shows the quality of the player, because there's some players where you can play them in different systems, they'll shine in one and not shine in the other, and get loads of goal contributions in one and not in the other. But it just shows how good of a player he is, where he can get top amount of goals in both kind of systems. Definitely. But that is us reacting to the Son interview. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. We are off to the stadium very soon to see us fight against K-League All-Stars Yan Min-hyuk against Song Hyung-min. So check out all the content. There'll be a watch along in the studio as well with Barnaby. So check that out and go and join him. But thank you everyone for joining us today. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.